Hey everyone, this is Julia, the Nomadic Crafter with Bambi in the van. It's a little loud because of the road, but first I'm going to tell you where we are now. And then I'm going to tell you about the scariest night I've had in my van life in like 4.5, 5 years. Oh my God. So, guess where we are? Let me show you. Woo! Where are we? There's still trees, redwoods, hills, mountains, and Highway 101. We're in Humboldt County. Yeah. Humboldt County, exquisite. You can see the mountains off in the distance. And we parked here last night. So, let's see. 2 nights ago, we left the Russian River. But we didn't really leave the Russian River because the Russian River begins in the Mendocino watershed area, in the mountains of Mendocino. And it flows, so it's north of here. So we just followed it all the way up to Mendocino, and it flows all the way down to Sonoma County through the Russian River area and out to the coast at Jenner. For those of you that don't know, our next stop is up in Humboldt County, where I went to school at Humboldt State University, and also just visiting, as we're driving through Mendocino County, which is amazing. So that's where we're headed. So now 2 nights ago, we left the Russian River area. And we left later in the evening, or in the afternoon, like 4. And I knew there was a Walmart just a couple towns up, 101. And then we get a fresh start in the morning. So that's what we did. We stayed actually at a Home Depot. So I'm using a new app called iOverlander. If you haven't used it, it's great and really easy to use. And it had said the Walmart was good and there were no dissenting views. The last review was August 1st, 2020. But when I got there, it did have signs that said you couldn't stay there. I did notice a couple cars around parked. But we ended up going next door to the Home Depot, and it was fine. It was a little bit sketchy. There was a guy in a car sort of down the way that was just like, like at 8 a.m. in the morning, he was already cracking a beer and he was coughing really bad. He did not look good. Sent a little prayer out to him. And there was another van dweller to our right, a woman. So that was fine. And then we headed out on the journey, 101 North to Mendocino. And it was exquisite environment. Especially through Hopland, California. It's a little loud. Sorry about the cars and everything. So Hopland, California was amazing. It was these rolling hills of vineyards with also the trees starting to come in. So when you leave the Russian River, you're sort of in this flatter, more rolling hills, oak trees, and vineyards. And as you head north, it starts to get bigger and bigger mountains and trees. And through Mendocino, it was just like massive, giant mountains covered in trees with the river, cut down below. And the only thing is, it was so smoky and so cloudy, I couldn't get any views of it for you. I mean, I have a couple clips for the documentary, but it was exquisite. And then as you come into Humboldt, the hills start to get a little bit smaller. I don't know if they're actually smaller, but it wasn't like right on the edge of the mountains there. Anyway, so this area is like a bigger version of the Russian River. And that's what I was trying to say earlier. The Russian River is like a smaller version. So now let me tell you about the scariest night of my van life ever. Oh my God. So this was last night. First night we parked in Walmart. We did the drive and it was starting to get dark. We stopped at a rest area and it was starting to get dark. And I knew, and I had heard on iOverlander that you could not park overnight in Mendocino County. It was just the thing. They just don't like it. So we wanted to get through Mendocino and to Humboldt, and it was starting to get dark, and I didn't know where to park in Humboldt either, or if you could park on one of these pull-offs or not. So I sort of put it out to the universe. I was like, we're going to be good. We're going to find our spot, which is what I always do. And in my mind, I envisioned a spot with like trees hanging over, sort of a little bit more secluded, because I kept finding pull-outs that were like just out in the open, right next to the highway, and that was a little scary. So we came upon this giant pullout with a big tree and other trees hanging over, and you could just like scoot on in there, and it was really great. So I was like, this must be the place. This must be the place. Talking Heads. I don't have my singing voice set yet for the day. It's too early. So anyway, we pull next to this tree, and the tree has shoes hanging from it. And I'm like, okay, I vaguely remember that means people are selling and buying drugs here. And I'm like, but yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere. You actually have to have a car to get to this spot, right? Now, there is a river down below and another country road, and we're on Highway 101 up above. And so I'm not sure about this place. It's a little bit scary looking, but it's a perfect place to park for the night. And it now is it's getting dark. It's like 6:30. So Bambi and I get out of the van and we sort of scope the area out, look down into the forest. And by the way, there's like trash everywhere into the forest along the side of the road. It's just not maintained. You can't see it till you look down into the forest. And but we don't see anything that indicates there's like a homeless camp there or drug deals or anybody could access this area. So I figure it's okay and we're just going to have to take our chances. And I am feeling a little bit uncomfortable about it, especially that tree. So I'm starting to get the feeling of it now, what it was like last night. So we decide to stay and I cook a meal and I start working online, figuring out what my video edits are going to be. And I have a signal and everything. It's great. And Bambi's chilling for the night. And it's now pitch black. Just like you couldn't see anything, especially under the tree. I couldn't even see the sky. I was like one little part. I was like, oh, there's the edge of a tree. Otherwise, pitch black until a car goes by. And every time a car goes by, I'd use the lights to like look around. And everything's like all locked up totally. Like usually when I'm parked, you know, the windows are down a little bit and I need some air. And I just feel pretty safe, you know, everywhere I go. So all of a sudden Bambi goes, she's sitting up in the front seat. She goes, "Rrr." And I see a guy's pulled up now. He's pulled up sort of in front of our car, about maybe 20 yards away. And it's pitch black. So all I can see is he's got his phone. So I see a little light in the vehicle. And I'm like, now I don't want him to see me that I'm a female. So at one point, I put the pillow up here and I could just like peek around it and watch him. And I was like, if that dude opens his door, that's it. You know, we're like ready to go in a moment's instance. So I watch him for a while and he's like, the light goes off and he's in the car and nothing's happening. And we're thinking about leaving. But now it's like 10:30, 11 at night. And I'm like, where am I going to park? It's pitch black. I'm in my pajamas. Like everything's set to go to sleep for the night. So I go back in the back and I'm working on my computer. I have it on the lowest night light and I'm just like working on it. And I'm like, Bambi, stay vigilant. And then she goes, grrr, again. And I come back up and he, sure enough, opened his door, got out of his vehicle. And he's sitting on the side of his vehicle working on his phone. And I'm like, oh no. We're going to have to go if he doesn't get back in his vehicle. It was scary. And then he got back in his vehicle, I guess. And I went back to work. And Bambi stayed vigilant. And then at some point, thankfully, he finally pulled off and left. And I was like, okay, he's not staying here for the night. I thought he was staying for the night. I was thinking about just backing the van up all the way to the edge of the turnout. This was a massive, massive turnout. Really wide and really long. So why the heck he was so close to me, it was freaking me out. And I had heard, unfortunately, that Mendocino and Humboldt, this whole area, because of the development of cannabis here and the growing of cannabis here since the 60s, that it had now been taken over by the mafia, the Mexican like drug lords that are running the other drugs. And that it's now even like worse with it being legal, and that it's not the hippies that are running it anymore, and that this area had also experienced through part of that an opioid epidemic like we're experiencing everywhere. I mean, and it's mostly fentanyl, which is a legal drug, so which the pharmacies or the pharmaceutical companies are pushing, and the doctors are pushing. Okay, and this is creating an epidemic, opioid epidemic. Try saying that 5 times. And so it's apparently rampant here and the mafia, and it's like not the place, the hippie loving place it used to be. So I'm not going to let anything stop me from, you know, it's just like at night. I'm not going to let anything stop me from walking at night through my neighborhood, if I have a neighborhood, that I want to, because people are like, oh, be afraid. And it's like, no, we have to take it back. just like nature, we have to start actually acknowledging and looking at and appreciating and walking through nature in order to keep it. It's just like that. I want to keep the night by being able to walk through it if I want. Thankfully, I have Bambi, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. And in fact, if I didn't have Bambi, I would not be parking where I parked last night. So, back to the story. The guy takes off, I finish up my work, and I get ready to actually lay down and go to bed. And I've got this overwhelming feeling of fear now. I've been afraid since that guy pulled over. I've been afraid since I parked there. And now it's like so intense. I just laid down and I'm laying there like this. I'm just scared to death. And I'm not scared of the woods and anything natural. I'm scared of people. Anybody could pull over at any time. It's so scary. So I'm laying in a bed and I decide, no, I can't handle this feeling. I don't want to be under this tree anymore. Let's just back out of the tree and back to sort of more one side of the first part of the pull out. But I don't want to be hit by anybody coming in. And now I'm more visible as well. And it's a little bit louder. But it's worth it because the feeling I've got under this tree is ridiculous. I'm getting right now chills going up my neck from just remembering it. And I know to listen to my intuition. So my first move is, we're going to pull back. So, oh my God. So we pull, I turn on, lights, everything. I couldn't see behind me. So I actually pulled back around and got sort of, the tree now is up ahead of me. And now the sky is opened and I look out my window, I can see all the stars and I'm like, already it's much lighter and I feel much better, but it's still scary. And I'm like, maybe we should back up even more. So I decide, okay, it's 12:30 now, 1 o'clock. I need to go to sleep so I can get up early enough to avoid the park rangers if they're going to come knocking on my van. So everything's locked up. I'm like, Bambi, you really need to stay up here tonight and stay vigilant. Because sometimes she sleeps in the back, sometimes she sleeps in the front. And she's like, I got you, Mom. And she stayed right here like a good girl and was vigilant. All of a sudden, I'm laying in my bed. No. I came up here, it's right before I'm going to lay down, and all of a sudden I hear this winding noise, but you can tell it's something's being worked, some kind of a machine, and I'm like, and I see a truck coming, and I'm like, oh, that must be the truck, but as the truck goes by, it's not that sound, it's its own sound, and I come over here, and I go, and I lean over Bambi, and the window's cracked a little bit. And right next to us in the forest, right next to us is this sound. And then it stops. And then it starts again. All of a sudden, I've got the van on. Lights go on. I'm in my pajamas. I got no shoes on. And the curtains aren't open. The Bambi water bowl is still open. Nothing's prepared to move. And I turned that van on. I was like, and we just totally left right then. My hair was on edge. Right now I can feel it. It was the scariest experience I've ever had in my van life. It was right next to the van. And again, we had pulled back, so we had pulled back right next to whoever was there. There was a person in the woods right there, right next to us. And I think they were turning one of those crank radios, solar crank radios, where you can crank it and get a signal. Oh my God. So scary. So now we're driving down the middle of Highway 101 in the middle of the night, and my body's I'm filled with adrenaline. I can feel it right now. And my right leg is cramping up. I'm trying to hit the gas. I need to stop and take a breath. And I'm trying to breathe. And we pull over into the next town, which is Myers Flat. And that, of course, is where I think Humboldt Redwoods State Park is. And so I know there's going to be park rangers around there. We can't stop. We can't park there for the night. But I didn't even stop. I just wanted to get out of there. And I'm my legs oh. So we ended up driving further along until we came to this spot here, which is all cement, a big pullout, relatively far from the road. And we stopped and sensed the whole thing out, and it seemed fine, and we were fine parking here last night. Thank God. But I'll tell you, the feeling that I had under that tree was like 4 times as much as any intuition I ever have. Like, and I was sitting there feeling it, and I was like, this is like that feeling I had when I was in Asheville, and I was going to go look at this place to rent this lady had, and I kept getting delayed and blocked, and I had this, like, I had to pull over in my truck at one point, and I was just like, I had to catch my breath because I was like hyperventilating. Pai dog was there with me. And it was that same feeling, but like fourfold. What the hell? Why, excuse me, why I didn't get out of there right then. And I'm sitting there telling myself, yeah, this is that feeling, that same feeling. And I know that feeling from several circumstances in my life. And I know when I get that feeling that something bad is up, So I don't know what was up with that place, who that person was. It was freaking scary. I've never felt actually in danger like I felt. I've never felt in San Diego, in the lake, area where all the RVs are, or at the beach, or just on some country road. I've never felt this scared in my life. It was so, so scary. So one thing I don't have is pepper spray, and I really do need to get it. But I do have Bambi, thank God. And she's good. She's a grrr. Something's going down. Aren't you, Bambi? Grrr. She's a good little girl. Yeah. That's her toy that she mauled. She loves it. The cutest, goodest security guard ever. Yeah. So, all right. So that's my story of the scariest night ever in my van life. That it should be up here in the most beautiful spot. It was just so scary. And this is where we are up in Humboldt. We'll do another video once we get up there and show you some stuff. But I might stay right here for like a little while today because I just kind of need a break. Like all of the intensity of the Russian River. And now I'm going right to a heavy memory place again. This is a whole new series of memories and experiences and a time in my life 27 years ago when I was, in my 20s, just out of school. And my whole life was beginning. I ended up leaving here and moving to St. Louis for 7 years. So this is going to be intense, and I kind of like need a minute. It's all just like a lot really fast. Even just driving through here, I have so many memories. All right, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this general update. And this is the Nomadic Crafter on the journey. And where are we going next after this? This is like the epitome of the journey up here. This is like the northernmost point of my experience here in Northern California. I mean, I've been further north. I mean, I saw the Grateful Dead concert in 1988 in Eugene. It was awesome. But yeah, so where are we going next? We don't know. We're just very happy to have been able to start moving again and be nomadic. And on that point, I want to give a big thank you to someone who made a donation to my channel. You know who you are, Big D. You know who you are. You're amazing. You helped make this trip possible. So thank you so much for that donation. And if anybody wants to donate to this journey, donate to this channel, it takes a lot of time and effort to make these videos. You're able to see places that you're not going to right now. So I hope that's of value to you. And if you'd like to make a donation to my channel, you can do that through PayPal. The link is right below. So thank you so much and have a beautiful day. Bye. Let me show you again. On the road again, like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends.